Hello, everybody, and welcome to Joe Pops, the podcast with me, Sean Williams, and my dad.
Stay blessed. Good to be. Good.
Please like, subscribe, and share. We've got the description and everything. You all right? You got the
Yes,
subscription.
it's you. You're causing
We've got the subscription.
trouble.
He won't even let me do the intro.
Yes.
He won't. I'm sitting here trying to talk to you, and he's trying to talk to me. And in our last episode, he was talking about people making noise in this quiet space. So, in the description, we have the Patreon. Guys, please subscribe, and there's great content and stuff there for you. We're going to carry on, actually, from last week's podcast, because it was turned into a really beautiful conversation. And there was a couple other things that I wanted to speak to and ask my dad about. But firstly, Dad, how are you? You okay?
I am good.
Okay, cool. I'm going to jump straight into it. You were speaking about the feeling. Well, I said to you that there's a feeling like there's a bit of a crescendo kind of coming and going, and you're like, yeah. And we were talking about, obviously, how the digital influence has grown massively, and we were looking at this generation and also even their relationship with teachers, and how ChatGPT and AI is now almost a go-to teacher for them, which is holding what I would call the fundamental principle idea of what teaching is in contempt a bit, because you're missing the most important element, which is the human element, right? Yes. It's not just information, it's information through experience, wisdom, and modeling. I wanted to ask you something also, Dad, that's a big thing at the moment, and I'm kind of caught between the rock and hard place a little bit, because I think there are things that we're doing well based on new information we have, but there's also things that we're doing poorly because we seem to be obsessed with doing everything better. Yeah. Right? And I wanted to ask you, did we overthink health 40 years ago?
Health?
Yeah. Do you think we were overthinking health the way we are now 40 years ago?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't think you'd say that. Why would you say?
Because the people who are responsible for the whole health program, their agenda goes far back,
right,
than 40 years ago.
So you think that certain ideas and, like you said, agendas and systems that are put in place were done quiet. It was being done quietly under the radar.
Precisely the point. Yes.
And the only reason why the alarm is happening now is because we're now seeing the fruit of that tree.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that is applicable right across the whole spectrum, whether it's aircraft manufacturing, engineering, agriculture, the whole lot. You know, that's what's under the underground operation were seriously happening. And in the last, I would say 10, 15, 20 years, the amount of revelation of invention that
has happened and came out.
Those were already sitting there, waiting for when the world become far more acceptable to that level of activities that's going on.
Yeah.
So they were very, very much aware what they wanted to do, and I believe that part of the agenda was to take out, one of a better word, a lot of humanity.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe they feel that the population explosion
is
too much, and with climatic changes, warfare, and all of these diseases and stuff, they thought that there would be a whole lot more people dying from natural causes.
Yeah.
But the technology, especially within the biological side of things, is so good that it's extending people's lives far beyond what they had anticipated. You know, and now that's why there is a global adjustment that's going, and even with when people retires.
How do you mean?
I mean, for example, one time you could retire at 55 and 60 and 65. Now you're looking at 65, 66, 67, 70, and even beyond. Because, well, of course, there are many other reasons for that as well. But everything seems to have caught people by surprise.
Do you think that there are groups of people that sit in positions of power that don't see population or people as what I would call, and this is going to sound even wild that I'm saying it like this, that they don't see them as human entities but numbers on either stat sheets or graphs?
Yeah.
Because I sit down and I think to myself, I'm like, and we see it even with the Prime Minister resigning last week. Everybody after their turn's done, they talk on the basis of going back to normal human existence and life, right?
Yeah.
So you'd like to think that that idea of human nature never leaves them. It's a kind of a thread that goes through. But you would look at certain things, right, and how certain things are done. So when things are coming to light and people are now wanting to hold some of these medical establishments to account, and then only to be told by people, lawyers and so forth, that, well, there's an indemnification that means that you can't actually prosecute. No. So then you sit there and you go, well, wait there. So then who do we hold to account?
Yes.
And then, right, Dad. And then you then look at it and you go, okay, then who has the power to allow indemnification for these people to be firstly putting something out there that people can use that they shouldn't be because it's not safe, unless there are those making and taking decisions where they're not looking at people with the intention to which we were created.
You see, that is never their objective.
Okay.
What people are looking at is the same reason that drives the world's economy.
Okay.
Is how people can become more profitable.
Yeah.
And to the greatest extent. And so they now look at people as liabilities.
Got you.
You get what I mean?
It's like assets and liabilities.
Precisely. So therefore, they ask them the question, what are you contributing?
Yeah, to wider society.
Yes, I mean,
what do you do?
Exactly. And this is what, even within the immigration system, that's questions that are being asked. If you want to come to this country, or to our country, whichever it may be, what are you bringing? What's your contribution? What do you have that we don't have? You get what I mean? And on the basis of that, it would determine whether you come or you don't. And so, where the broader spectrum is concerned, that's what is going on. They're looking at it and saying, okay, here are some people sitting on gold, sitting on uranium, sitting on oil, sitting on that, and we want it, and we have the machinery to get it. If it means killing off millions of people, we will do so. You get what I mean? Because we think that they're expendable. You know what I mean? Because what exactly are they doing? They're breathing the oxygen, they're eating what little food that there is, and what exactly are they contributing to it. So this is what you are now. This is what you're now experiencing, and I believe that it is sort of that kind of agenda is being carried out, systematically as well as, quietly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dad, do you think we're living better or worrying more?
When you look at the world, if you take the world as an average, far less. People are not living better. When taking the world into consideration. a few percentage of people are living a lot better because they're riding the crest. You know what I mean? They caught the wave.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying to you. So then this is where it goes back again to something like AI.
Yeah.
For those people who had the wisdom to make computer technology their course or they studied that, they're the one who's laughing right now. You get me? Even though their laughing won't last for long, because now the programming of, say, AI is of such where it can do everything any human can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the human have invented invented things that is excluding themselves from the system, and to the point where the speed of development that is going on, it will soon tell all the powers that be to get stuff. You know what I mean? Because
we can run it ourselves.
We
can run it ourselves.
Exactly.
So then, do you think then that means that we're worrying more?
I would say people are worrying, but I don't think they necessarily. Most people don't understand what is going on. They are oblivious.
Do you think they just think the world is crazy at the moment?
Yeah, they just.
Or they're relegating it down to what I call visual projections of either power or whatever. Like, a lot of people will look at Trump and be like, well, everything that America's doing is because of basically Trump, right? Yeah. And then you'll look over there and be like, well, everything that they're doing is based on that. And then you sit and you go, when has one person
exactly
ever been able
to control
right, Dad?
What happened?
Does that make sense?
Yeah. What I think is happening is that people are shell shocked.
Yeah.
They literally, I mean,
that's a good word.
The world is literally shell shocked, and I've seen it everywhere I've gone. People walking around in a daze. You know, they really don't know. I mean, today they have a job, tomorrow they don't have it.
Yeah.
The next day they have it, tomorrow the next day they don't have it. And they're wondering what's going on. What am I going to feed my wife with? What am I going to feed my children with? How am I going to get by? Because there is no guarantee.
Yeah.
And like in England, you call what is called 0 hours. I can sack you anytime I want to. Get rid of you, and all of that. So there's none.
Lack of security will cause excess worry.
And you are, as I said, being herded into this place where we will tell you when you can eat, we'll tell you what to eat, and we will tell you that if you break what we say, we will just we'll limit your mobility and scope beyond your wildest dreams.
So with that said, a question. What should every generation learn from the other?
This generation is particularly in trouble. The next generation...
Dum, dum, dum. I can help myself.
If I'm going to be biblical, it's going to be a very different one. Not based on this world system. This generation is going to find itself in a lot of mess, for want of a better word.
Okay.
Because the Bible, even the Bible tells us that the generation that shall see these things is a generation that's going to see the next governmental rule.
The next transition of how government will be set up in the world.
Of what government is all about. Does it mean? So,
and Dad, when you look at it, you look at these nationalist agendas, it's like everybody's breaking away to stand on their own.
Yeah.
Which then means it's going to turn into a mass thing, and then you're always going to need a person, thing, or system to draw everything back in.
Yeah. And this is where I think You see, if you look at the world, everyone is virtually now self-centered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can we survive, operate without you?
Yeah.
You know, without the next person, the next country. And that is what is going on. And they will now do whatever it takes to guarantee and safeguard their dreams and aspiration, as we are seeing happening now
Yeah.
in places like the Middle East and other places, where it is recognizing that unless we do something, we are going to find ourselves on our face. So we're going to have to get some things by the hook or by the crook, by any means necessary.
I hear it.
You know what I'm saying to you?
I hear
I
it.
mean, about how many we killed or don't kill, how many lives is destroyed. No, no. It is the fact that if we don't do these things, then we are not going to survive, because we don't have it. We have expended, and world is changing at a pace that
I've noticed that.
can't keep up.
I was reading yesterday that, so you know the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, there was, and obviously I have to say until I can kind of go and verify everything that I've read and I'm about to say, that allegedly, okay, that they basically told our French brethren that some of the historical articles that they signed, right, in eternity past.
Yes, yes.
As far as they're concerned, thank you, but feel free to go home now.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And also under the basis that we've given you enough. You're good. And he was very efficient in beginning the extrication process of allowing Burkina Faso to be in charge of its natural resources. So it would now appear, and there had been talks that, you know, there'd certain attempts and stuff had already been made on his person and on his life, right? And within that there now was allegedly a situation where the French government had been backing certain separatist groups and rebels within the country to create a situation where basically there'd be a coup. And how they are perceiving that they've done this is that obviously the French still have a massive presence in the Ivory Coast. And so what they were doing was they were using their connections in the Ivory Coast to then obviously help to influence things in Burkina Faso. But what's happening in Burkina Faso is that obviously Ibrahim Traore, he's a man that is very versed in strategy and tactics. And he's managed to round up a lot of what would be perceived the alleged perpetrators and hold them all in the same space, right?
Of course.
Now, the reason I bring this up is because I sit and I think to myself, you're looking at a situation where a country that is already in, appears to be in a strong position, that has been taken from another country in a weaker position, would seek to destabilize that which is weaker than it, right, Dad? At the enrichment of itself, right? And then complain about the traffic, the human traffic that is filtering in, knowing that they're, and I want to use a term that I grew up with, their craven hand, Dad, right? Is not only in their bowl, but in their bowl as well.
Oh yes,
right?
Yes.
And you sit and you think to yourself, because obviously, like you're saying that, you know, you can see that the world system is changing, and you're looking at these territories that historically have not been allowed to almost stand on their feet, and it's almost like they've gone by hook or by crook. Like, oh no, we're going to walk. And so I guess the question I'm asking is, how do how do people navigate what's coming next? Because you even look in this country, Dad, and you see some of the further right-leaning political parties, and you see the fear that they have with our friend from the north coming down, and you also look at it and think to yourself, in what world full of sensible people do you have a conversation where a figure as divisive as a Nigel Farage is even getting close, Dad, to a seat of power like that? Unless there are, like you said, executive agendas.
The issues, I believe, with a lot of people is that they have little or no insight into the future, and the future that's already here is history. Now, the powers that be, who is governing the now and potentially then, they are the ones who, as I said, are dictating the pace of development. Now, because majority of people don't understand the changes that are coming, they are just taking everybody at face value, and whatever they tell them, they think that is going to be it. Okay, now what was it that make some people were happy to take this vaccination, for example, and some people were not? You get what I mean? Even though the word that was going out on the street was that it's mandatory, yet it had a clause in the whole thing that tell everybody you're not forced to take it. You have an option. But it was so hidden in the general rule of thumb that people were too scared by the time they get to the 45th page relating to what was going on. Now, those people who didn't take it, they didn't take it for reasons. They didn't just get up and say, you know what, we're not going to take it. They understood what would be the implication, what are the consequences of it, and that was the thing. Now, I was told that you have to do certain things, otherwise you're not going to be able to carry out your work. Like traveling and going places. And I told him, no, I will. Simple. And I was able to do it. And we are now on the verge of another turn that is going to be so significant that by the time that people realize what is going on, it is very, very much too late for them. However, lack of knowledge of what is going on will be their excuse because they don't know. And too many people are afraid because now even when you're teaching and when you're speaking on the internet, if you say certain things, you may find the police at your door.
I think the thing that maybe shocked me most was, firstly, it was the indemnification of companies that were very, very sure of what they'd made.
Of course.
And anytime Mum's made an amazing, let's say, Sunday dinner or a Christmas dinner, she's never needed to have a disclaimer along with the dinner, right? So like she serves the dinner and then she's got, can you just sign this for me quickly? Like, why? Just in case you have a problem.
Yes.
Because the proof is in the pudding.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense? And so for me, I think one of the first things it was the indemnification thing, and as a family, we were very vocal amongst ourselves. And I always said that you and Mum were fantastic in terms of how you kind of presented the information and been like, look, at the end of the day, you're all adults. We've raised you to be independently thinking people. This is where we are. This is why we are where we are.
Indeed.
And this is what we intend to do. And I think when you're presented with information over ideology,
of course,
that it's so much easier to make a decision, right? And we were all aligned in terms of what we thought, felt, and wanted to kind of go forward with. But I did want to ask you this, Dad, why does fear obscure rational thinking?
Yeah, you see, fear, there's another side to fear, and that is doubt.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And doubt calls people liars.
Doubt calls people liars.
That's what doubt does. Whether it is the person you're with, around, or even God himself.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, we saw that in the garden.
Precisely the point. And that is where a lot of people, because they don't trust, the infallible word of God, then they find themselves walking in doubt, and doubt generate fear.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So a lot of people are experiencing that because they don't know the source that will generate trust. You get what I mean? Remember in the book of Romans 10:17, it says faith comes by hearing, and hearing of the word of God. So if you're not hearing the word of God, you're going to be hearing something else. And what else you're going to be hearing is not born of faith. It's born of opinion. It's born of people's, what they feel is important to them. And oftentimes they find that it has no foundation.
Can I dive in a little deeper?
Sure.
Everything you hear, you don't have to listen to. So then, Dad, what is it about what people hear that causes them to listen? Because even in the conversation that we are having now, right? The information, let's say, that you and Mum shared with myself and my brothers, I personally know that you shared that in a couple of what I would call inner circle spaces. So everybody's hearing, right? But what is the catalyst that turns hearing into listening?
I think, again, it's trust. I have to go back to that because however you look at it, if somebody's saying something and you don't trust them, you're not going to take it on board at all. It's not going to influence what you do, when you do it, or how you do it. And that's what it amounts to. And that is the biggest problem that God has with us. Because he's saying, I cannot violate your will.
Yeah.
But I put everything in documented form for you to see, hear, and then apply your will to it. And get the benefit of why I say the things I do. However, by virtue of your own will and choice, you may feel it's not serving your purpose. And of such, you don't have to listen to it. So you would go and you may be influenced and be enticed by what somebody else is saying to you because it seems more attractive. Because if you look at what Adam did, what Satan did to Adam and Eve, is to present to them a more attractive alternative than what God said to them. God knows that the day in which you eat this, you're going to be a God like God. You see, now that's a very, very attractive proposition. And by virtue of their choice, they took that on board. And this is exactly the kind of environment that we are now moving into, where people will be deceived because they cannot tell the difference between what is true and what isn't.
Can I say something, Dad? Like and this is this is my pet peeve sometimes with people, right? And why I marvel at God's grace and patience to us through his love.
Yeah.
Right? Because we underestimate just how much of that he has for us that I don't think we have the capacity to comprehend.
No.
And I look at it on this way and I say, so you would rather distrust, disobey, and walk away from a God who chooses not to force you into doing anything. He invites you into his will, right, Dad?
Yes.
And you would rather trust the person that forces, controls, and manipulates you, right?
Yep.
They say, right, here's the thing that you should take. If you don't take it, you can't do this, you can't do...
Absolutely.
Right, Dad? Because God was very clear of his... Unless we're talking about the Garden of Eden, God was very clear in his instructions, right? Knowing that there were parts of the consequence of judgment,
right,
that because they hadn't taken of the thing, they weren't able to really understand and comprehend that. So what it comes down to is the person who created me told me these are the boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? Not walls and locks, Dad. Purely boundaries. Because if it was walls and locks, they never get near the tree, Dad. They never get near it. And in fact, if most of us was God, we wouldn't even probably let them in the garden.
Indeed.
We may have had them in some outpost bit and gone, right, you wait here and you ring this bell at 6 o'clock every day and I will come to you and I will come and give you some stuff. Does that make sense, Dad?
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, I sit and I go, how have we fallen into the trap where we've convinced ourselves that what is good is worse and what's bad is now best?
Because, you see, the truth of the matter is that 99% of people don't understand that the other 1%, under no circumstances do they want that they should wake up one day and recognize their power.
That's powerful.
Now, do you know one of the greatest, one of the biggest investigation going on right now is into melanin?
Yeah.
It's from Cambridge University, right? There's one.
No. I've seen some reports and stuff.
Now, how many people, what is it called, black people, who detest, think that being as dark as I am is a crime? You know what I mean? Who told them that? For most of them, they're born into an environment where everything around them is black. And yet, somehow, society would let them, would tell them, say, you know what, you got a problem looking like that. And it is now being discovered that this thing is far more significant than anyone cared to. And I'm talking about the scientists who are telling us this.
But Dad, even on a basis of just taking what you said as table information, right? If I wanted something that was valuable, would I not, and I know you've got it in spades,
Indeed,
right? Would I not convince you that the thing that's valuable isn't that valuable at all?
Exactly.
And maybe if
Absolutely.
I can help you devalue you even more,
exactly.
I can get my hands on as much of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the basis is that most of us are only as good as the lessons that we were taught.
Indeed. And that's why I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that a lot of people, I mean, what I said, the 1% make sure systematically that everybody follow a certain pattern. And the best way to sort of put it, you got some great runners, like the Usain Bolt of this world, the great players. And in reality, can you say that these people are the fastest people in the world? No, they're not.
Well, they're the fastest people that we've been exposed to.
Exactly the point. They're the fastest people who follow the system, follow the program. You get what I'm saying to you? And therefore become accredited by the program because of how well they follow it. And it's the same thing just across the board, that everyone who follow the program that they've been taught, and that's where success lies. Success doesn't lie necessarily in your ability.
Yeah.
It lies in how well you were able to follow what was laid out before you. I mean, that is the issue. And so majority of people must never know their worth.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying? Because it would become dangerous.
Yeah. It would upset the apple cart for sure.
Absolutely. And this is where the system is about to lock everyone out. Essentially, and take total control. That you won't be able to fly, you won't be able to eat, you won't be able to wear, you won't be able to buy or sell unless the system authorize you to do so.
I call it, and this is my conclusion of thought based on what I experienced in the lockdowns, that there is a version of society that government can impose on people that is basically conditional living, Dad.
Of course.
And when I saw that, right, and some of the subsequent inquiries, allegations, well, people in government positions that were giving us briefings every day lost their jobs, right? Makes sense.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Which kind of, it gives you that thing of it stokes the fire.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people, there's a lot of hardship and trauma connected to that moment, and you are doing what you think you should be doing based on the information you've been given. But I think that what you said, Dad, was so fascinating on the basis that the value, the sum and parts of what people are isn't externally laying around.
Of course.
And if they can find enough time and view and value themselves and what they were created to be and who they were created by, to investigate that for a moment, Dad, that moment could be a catalyst to transformative change. It really could. Dad, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful conversation. I appreciate you always. Guys, thank you for spending some time with us. Please like, subscribe, and share. Join to our Patreon. We hope that this conversation has been nourishing and giving you a little something to think about as well. So from me, have an amazing rest of your week and weekend and day. And from my dad,
God bless you and catch you on the next one.
See you soon, guys. Take it easy.